Welcome back to Focus on South Texas. The heart is the center of Valentine's Day, but it can also be a reminder of cardiovascular disease. February is American Heart Month, and the American Heart Association is getting the word out about women's heart health. And here to tell us more is Ashley Harris, San Antonio's American Heart Association 2025 survivor and Heart Walk Development Director, Madeline Ebeling. Welcome to the show. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us today.
Well, Ashley, you survived a stroke in the past.
That's right. Actually, it was 2 strokes in a TIA, which is a temporary stroke. In 2011, I was 36 years old.
Tell us about that experience and going through that and getting diagnosed.
It's really shocking because you're just going about your daily life and you just think, this could never happen to me. I'm so young, it can't be anything serious. And you know, you wake up one day and you're just feeling a little tingly and a little numb, and you're like, oh, just ignore it and it'll go away, just ignore it and it'll go away. And I'm someone who prided myself on going to my annual doctor's appointments and making sure that I was checking all the boxes and doing all the things I needed to do. So of course, when something out of the ordinary happened, ignore it and it'll go away. But I am the living embodiment that if you ignore it, it will not go away.
And cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women in the United States. And I know we say this all the time, but I mean, it's still such a startling statistic. What can we do to be proactive against the disease?
That's such a great question, because that's one of the reasons why the American Heart Association hosts Go Red for Women, because there's so many misconceptions about heart disease out there. As a matter of fact, 45% of women over the age of 20 have some form of cardiovascular disease. So women just really need to take an active role in being your own advocate. If something goes wrong, don't just brush it off. If you're in the doctor's office and they say, you know, they start talking like they do, because this is their day-to-day, so they understand this and we don't. You have to stop and say, I'm so sorry, I need you to clarify what you just said because I don't understand. You need to be, you need to be monitoring your blood pressure. You need to be staying on top of your health. You need to be an advocate for yourself.
Absolutely. And I mean, you know, nobody knows our body and the way we feel better than ourselves, right?
I always say that there is a reason why you have a gut reaction. When something doesn't feel right, listen to that.
You know, and we hear stress, the word stress, all the time. And I understand that stress is a big factor when it comes to our heart health. What are some of the things that we can do to manage stress? I know everybody manages stress very differently, and stress looks different for everybody. But how do we manage it?
Stress, I think, is inherent in all of us. And I think women, professional women, busy women, mothers, single mothers, we have stress like really nobody can possibly comprehend. I'm absolutely convinced of it. So I think what we need to do is we need to keep an eye on our blood pressure. We need to be finding ways to de-stress. But again, it also is those regular checkups. It's when something out of the ordinary happens, just stop and just go get checked out. Take an hour out of your time. That's something that stress does, is it makes us just keep going and going and going. And you know, I'll deal with this next week. I'll call that doctor next week. I'll take care of it next week. Don't do that, because you want to be around for your family and for your children and for your husband and for your mother and father.
Absolutely. I know sometimes putting something off just turns into, you know, something much bigger.
And something to also consider is that stress leads to depression, and depression is actually a significant factor in heart health for women.
And tell us how the American Heart Association is helping women in the community get the word out about heart health.
There's so many things going on. We, of course, have Go Red for Women Month, and then we have the Heart Association's Go Red for Women Luncheon on February 21st, but Madeline also has some other events that they're doing as well.
Yes, one of our big events that is supported by our Go Red for Women Luncheon is called Vestido, Rojo. It is a women's health summit. It's free. It's on March 29th at St. Matthew's, and it's delivered in both English and Spanish, and it focuses on women's cardiovascular health over the course of the lifespan. Because what's so unique about women is that we have experiences that only women can have, such as childbirth and menopause. So Vestido Rojo really focuses on how can we help women, help empower women to take control of their health, like Ashley is focusing on and discussing. But then it also has things like exercise, like eating healthy. So how can we implement those things in a way that also has a positive impact on our cardiovascular and cerebrovascular health?
Well, hands-only CPR is the two-step process that can save a life. Madeline, will tell us a little bit about and show us how it's done. What do we have here?
So here we have a couple of mannequins. We call them mini Anns. And this is to help people practice and really get the sensation of being able to successfully do the actual CPR. Our goal with the American Heart Association is to double the amount of survivors by 2030. So the amount of survivors that experience a cardiac arrest outside of the hospital, we want to double that.
Okay.
And the best way to do that is by quickly administering CPR. There's only 2 steps. Dial 911 and press hard and fast in the center of the chest.
Hard and fast in the center of the chest. That is key. Okay, so you take your hands.
Yep. So it's really whatever is most comfortable for you. You're going to interlace your fingers, and you want your elbows pretty much straight. You're going to put your entire body on it, and one of the nice things about these mannequins is that they actually make a clicking sound, so you know that you've applied enough pressure.
Okay.
So when you're here, you'll be able to hear.
And so it's with the force. So, I mean, you can do the hands like this, or you can interlock them this way or this way.
Exactly.
And you just put.
Yep, and then you're going to put the heel of your hand. Yep, there you go. Excellent.
And how quickly do you?
You want to do between 100 and 120 beats a minute, which
Okay.
maybe that makes sense to you. To me, that makes no sense. It's better to think of it in terms of a song.
Okay.
So the most famous song is the Bee Gees' Staying Alive.
Okay.
That's one. But there's actually an entire playlist on Spotify through the American Heart Association where if you have the wherewithal to turn that on, you can actually do that. And you want to perform CPR until help arrives.
Okay.
And so even if the people around you do not know CPR, once you get tired, you can tell them, come here,
So
tap
just
in for
keep-
me. Keep it going. Because basically you're acting as an external heartbeat. The heart has stopped for some reason, and you are acting as the external heartbeat to make sure that oxygen flows through.
So you are that heartbeat. All righty. All righty. Well, thank you so much, Madeline.